It is a new year and apparently new you. You know, everything you want to change about yourself or improve, and you're ready to hit the ground running through just sheer willpower. But if the past years have taught us anything, we know that that is not true, and that is not a good way to go into the new year. So here are a list of my go-to self-help books that actually work, because I feel like a lot of the times self-help books are notoriously bad or just not practical, and this group of books are definitely ones that will change your life in the best way possible. I don't think we acknowledge this enough, but the power is in the repetition. You can't go to the gym once and then have your dream body. You can't eat well once and then have no health problems. So I just want to preface this by saying, for me personally, I treat these books as my mental vitamins. So every day I take an ungodly amount of vitamins for my physical body, but I also take my mental vitamins, which are these books, and I listen to them and repeat them over and over again throughout the entirety of the year. So though I love my romances, my literary fiction, my thrillers, and fantasy, I'm constantly reading those. But in the background, I am always reading something that's going to push me forward mentally. So I encourage you to do the same if you truly want to change your life in the new year. But I preface that by saying your goal is progress, not perfection. So even on the days where you slip up, which is inevitable, you can't have a bad habit that you've established and continued doing for years on end and then flip a switch and then it's gone. Give yourself grace. Make sure you understand that this is a lifelong process, and hopefully you make leaps and bounds of growth towards your ideal you, but just know that it's probably not going to happen all in one year, and be okay with that. It's better to be different at the end of the year and not exactly where you want to be than be stuck in the same exact spot and be miserable. So keep that all in mind before we go into these books, just so that you know we have a realistic expectation for ourselves by the end of the year. Now, I love all of these books for different reasons, but this book is one of my favorites to recommend just because it kind of encompasses everything you need to begin changing your life. And that is the infamous The Atomic Habits by James Clear. Now, you need to know this book is famous for a reason. James Clear does such a wonderful job in just explaining in layman's terms how small changes throughout your daily routine will build up to profound differences in your life over time. And I love how he explains every little thing, and not only that, it makes it feel attainable, because maybe your goal is a Mount Everest of a goal. Like for me, one of my goals is to learn 5 languages. That is so daunting. That is so scary. But if you realize that your future lies within your daily routine, you understand that slowly but surely you'll be able to get there. It just depends on what you do now. Current you is building the foundation for your future. So depending on how far you are from your future goals, from your future you, depends on what you do today. And if you think about it like that, you're just laying brick by brick every single day. And then suddenly when you look back, wow, I've grown so much. And he basically explains that in this book, and how to do it, and how the philosophy actually works. And I think that this book is a great book to start with, because it's not the rah-rah, overly philosophical books that you find normally within self-help. This is very practical, this is very understandable, and he backs up everything he says with examples, like real life examples. So I always recommend this one first, just because it is famous for a reason. It's just that good. Some books become really popular for the wrong reasons, but this one is undoubtedly one of the best for a reason. Now, the next one up is actually my personal favorite. It's the one that I personally listen to every single day and have integrated into my normal daily routine, and that is The Mountain Is You by Brianna Weiss, I believe is how you say her last name. I might be saying that incorrectly, but regardless, I have listened to that book by this point about 6 times, constantly, over and over again. And I've just embedded it into my daily routine, because she teaches you how to master the self. You can't do anything, you can't achieve anything until you've mastered the self. And that is why this book has been so profound for my journey personally. And I highly, highly, highly recommend anyone listening to it or to give it a shot, because it has genuinely changed my life. Like seriously changed my life. And it's gotten to the point where like, this is my personal mental vitamin. I know I said to treat all of these books as your mental vitamins, and though I continue to go back to those other books here and there, this is the one that I personally listen to every single day. My daily routine kind of looks something like this, especially during the week. This is what my routine looks like. I wake up at 4:30, I get ready for the gym, I go to the gym, I work out from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., then I come home, I shower, brush my teeth, wash my face, get dressed, then I go pick up my niece for school. She's about 30 minutes away, so when I drive to her, that's when I take my mental vitamins. So I put it on Spotify and I listen to The Mountain Is You, And that's what I do on my drive to my niece. Now, do I want to listen to music sometimes? Yes. Do I want to just be in silence sometimes? Yes. But I understand fundamentally the same way I need to take care of my body is the same way I need to take care of my mind. So that's what I do on my way to my niece, whether I want to or not. And now it is so ingrained in my daily routine that I'm not going to not do it. So I highly recommend you taking this approach when you're trying to decide which book is best for you in this category. But anyway, then I get my niece and then I take her back to school and then I come home, have my coffee, then have my physical vitamins, and then I get to work. So even though I hate taking pills and even though I don't always want to listen to this book, I do them anyway because the pills that I take physically are going to help my physical body. And I care about myself enough to take these physical pills. The audiobook that I listen to every morning, though I don't always want to listen to it, I know it's helping me get my mind right because she not only talks about self-sabotage, but she also talks about like identifying trauma and the habits that you've built because of trauma, how to get rid of them, and how to love yourself where you're at and to get to where you're going. I am telling you, no matter how big or small the trauma is in your life, anyone can take something from this book. Obviously, this isn't sponsored. It's just something that has truly changed my life. And I love y'all and I want to help you too. And I wish someone would have told me about this a little bit earlier for myself because I feel like now I'm truly making strides to who I want to be. And that is something that I never thought would happen because I've gotten to the point in my life where I just felt like all the bad habits that I've had in my life were just set in stone. I couldn't change them because every time I've attempted to, I've failed, but I never understood the why behind it. And she so perfectly explains the why behind it, especially if there's trauma and some of these things are trauma induced. And I just can't recommend this book enough. It truly has opened my eyes and I feel like I'm one of the best versions of myself ever. And I know I needed my past self to get here. I'm just so happy that I'm over that and I'm moving towards the future. And if you're trying to have that same sentiment, this is the book by far out of all of them that I would highly recommend if you're dealing with more internal issues than external goals. So keep that in mind. Now, this next one unfortunately gets a bad rap a lot of the times. And I honestly think whoever doesn't like this book doesn't understand what he was trying to portray. And that book is Cant Hurt Me by David Goggins. Now, this is my OG self-help book. This is the book that initially changed my life. I think it might be one of the first books, like serious books that genuinely changed my life. And before you think it's about running ultra marathons and running on broken limbs, if you've ever heard of the book, just know that was not his intention whatsoever. In fact, even in the book, he says, this is not something I want you to do. I am not recommending this lifestyle to you. What I'm trying to do is show you how no matter how far you are from your goal, you can be from the literal trenches, which he was. You can achieve anything you want, your highest desire. It all starts with the self. And that is his true intention with this book. And I think a lot of the times people get lost in the details, like the overall in-your-face details. Yes, he's a hardcore man who does 100-mile runs and he runs on broken legs and he talks about it. And he's proud of those things because those things are insane and most people don't think you can do them. And yes, he boasts about them, but he also is trying to do that to show you the underlying message, which is live your life to your fullest potential. People only live up to 40% of their potential, generally. And he's showing you that you can do more than that. You can reach your highest self. And I think that that is the most important thing coming from this book. And this is still a book that I recommend and refer to in my personal life all the time. And one of the reasons why I specifically like this book, outside of the immense life lessons that I find in every single chapter, it's the fact that he ends every single chapter with a challenge for you to do. And I love that he doesn't sugarcoat anything. He speaks to you very roughly. And I think that when you hit rock bottom and you just need that reality check, this is the book that I need to go to. This is the book that I need to wake myself up, because a lot of the times it's so easy to blame our shortcomings on circumstances or other people. And you find solace in that because at least if I don't make my goals, I know it's someone else's fault. It's outside of myself. I had no control. But he's showing you no matter what situation you are in, and he had some of the worst situations from his childhood all the way to his adulthood, between the prejudice and the abuse and the poverty, everything. No matter what you are dealing with, you have control of your life and your future. All you have to do is access that and push yourself. And that's what I take away from the book. That is what I love about the book. And just a pro tip as well, if you have the book and you don't necessarily want to read the physical copy, I highly recommend the audiobook for this one, because because he actually talks you through the book. Now, he does have someone else reading the book, and at first it kind of was weird and I didn't really like it, but I love it now. And the more you listen to it, you'll enjoy it a lot too, because he'll have this person reading a chapter or a specific scene, and then they'll talk about it in real time. So it genuinely feels like a podcast, and you get to get more insight about him outside of the book. And some things he says isn't even in the book, which is so nice because you get that additional information and understand the full story of everything he's telling you. If you just look outside of the fact that he is a very extreme person, this book will change your life. That is a fact. This book and The Mountain Is You are my top 2 books. I love Atomic Habits, but if I had to choose, it would be these 2 books, just because of how profound they are. And I love that in this book, he focuses on the self, on the fact that you have accountability and you need to take accountability for your life no matter what circumstances you are given, no matter what circumstances you are in. Because with that, though it might feel daunting and a little overwhelming, I feel like there's power in that. If you feel like life is happening to you, then it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how much you change. It will never change the outcome because life is happening to you. But if you change your perspective on that and realize, I am a person with free will. If I want something enough, I can go get it. That is my decision. And if you decide like, life isn't going to happen to me anymore, I'm going to happen to life, I'm going to actively live my life the way I want to because I decide, then the whole world opens up and that changes your insight. And that's a very hard mental switch to make, but I feel like this book does a wonderful job helping you through that process. And again, this is something you need to listen to, read constantly for you to finally understand the ideas. And even when you understand the ideas, you're always going to have bad days until the rest of your life. There's going to be a day that is not ideal. And when those days happen, it's going to be so good that you built up this callus with your mental vitamins and you've continued to listen to the lessons and gain something new when those days do happen. So even the rainy days aren't so bad anymore. And that's the importance of this entire video. That's the whole crux of this entire video, is the fact that yes, these books are good on its own, but the magic lies in the repetition. So keep that in mind when I say this. With all of these books, it's all about repetition. I have to keep saying that so you can understand because I feel like these books are worthy enough to change anyone's life, but if you don't give them the opportunity to change your life, then it's just like a missed opportunity to be someone different, to be the best version of yourself, and I don't want that for you. So again, I'm going to say that again, make sure you read the books multiple times throughout the year and just see what happens to you. The next one up is a book that I actually learned about last year, and that is Tuesdays with Morrie. This is by Mitch Albom, and this book's a little bit different from the others because it's not necessarily for in the moment, in the present self-help. It's more about a reflective thing, and it's about remembering to see the bigger picture, because we can all get so goal oriented and so focused on getting to the future, getting to our next goal, getting to our next accomplishment. And this book reminds you to take a step back and basically smell the roses, like look around you, enjoy your present. Yes, it's okay to have goals, and yes, it's okay to want more for yourself, but realize how blessed you are in the present moment. And that is why I love this book, because it is so easy to get so focused on your goal, get so focused on the next step, the next thing, the next day, the next goal, the next achievement, and then you can get lost in the present and don't realize that you are already blessed. You are already further along than you ever thought you'd be. And it's okay to take pride in that and to relish in that from time to time. So that's why this book is in here. I don't read it too often, but I love to come back to it and just take a moment to reflect. And it gives me a really warm feeling, and I'm just really proud of myself and how far I've gone. And it also reminds me to hug the people I have around me and my loved ones, and make sure that I keep that sentiment going forward as I continue to chase my goals. And if you're not familiar with this story, Tuesdays with Morrie is about this guy and his professor. His professor, unfortunately, is dying of a terminal disease, and it is a slow and painful one. He literally is deteriorating over months, and it's so sad because he was such a lively and open and boisterous person, and then to see him dwindle into nothing is really painful, especially for the people around him who love him dearly. And Mitch, the young man, he reconnects with his dying professor, and they meet every Tuesday to basically have their last lesson together. And this lesson, though, is all about life and the things that Morrie has learned over his life and the things that he wants Mitch to take from his life. And it's just such a beautiful story. Yes, it's sad, but it's so much more than that. There are so many good life lessons. There are so many quotable things that you can go back to and learn something new from every single time. So again, I highly recommend this one. It is a little bit different of a self-help book, book from the other ones, but is just as necessary as all the rest. Last but not least is Everything I Love by Dolly Alderton. And I know this one is a bit strange too, but hear me out. Even though this book follows Dolly, the actual author, and her life throughout the years from literal middle school all the way into her 30s, and it just shows like the ups and downs of dating, her friendships, her personal love life, her personal growth within herself, her own self-love. And it's a bit funny, it's a bit chaotic, and it's all over the place. There are so many good life lessons in it. Because this book, outside of the humor and the heartbreak, it's all about what love truly means and what it actually looks like. And it's such a beautiful story because she is so transparent. She is so honest with not only the audience, but herself. And I just feel like that kind of honesty is so freeing, not only for us as the audience and the reader, but also for herself, I'm sure. And she even mentioned like being able to get through all of this and this growth has been so immensely profound for my life. And I think as the reader, we can take away from the fact that like, this is unbelievably relatable. She is so honest that I see myself in this writer. I see myself in her story. And from there, I can take solace in the fact that I'm not the only one dealing with this, and there's growth from it. I can move on. There are other ways to deal with the situation. And she drops so many gems. It honestly feels like a big sister is helping you guide through life. And I think specifically for young women from maybe like high school all the way until the 30s needs to read this book. There are so many good lessons. I'm not giving it justice, but she really killed this book. And I think that though it's good to focus on like your self-growth, your goals and your careers and things, it's also important to acknowledge that everyone wants to be loved and to love. And it's not always an easy way to figure out what to do because we've seen so many bad examples of it. We don't really know what it looks like anymore. I don't know. Social media, I feel like, has changed what that really looks like now. And it just shows like, even through her being lost and having the same questions as we do, and her to get to the other side and to give us the wisdom as the reader, it just shows like you're not the only one thinking this way, and you're not the only one a little bit lost in this category, and that's okay. So again, I highly recommend this book. It is a little bit different with self-love and self-growth, but she mentions that so much throughout the book that you can't help but grow with her. And it really is beautiful to get to the end of the story and see how far she's come and just take the life lessons with her, because she doesn't take them as like, oh, this was the wrong thinking I had back then. No, she takes you to the time that she's talking about, like when she was 16 or something and boys were all the rage and all she could focus on. She takes you to that time where all the facts that she thought were true are actual facts. So she tells you as the reader, this is true. Boys are life. Like nothing else matters besides getting a boyfriend. She will literally say it that way. And you as a reader, you're like, okay, obviously that's not true. But she doesn't explain that to you as the reader until you go through the book and grow with her over the years and the time and see that, you know what, actually I was wrong back then. And then she takes you through each step of her life in that way. And I think that's what makes it even better, because by the end of the book, you feel like you've lived life with her and you've learned and grown with her. So in all, it's just such a good book. I highly, highly recommend it, especially if you're a woman. Now, even though these books have personally changed my life and I continue to go back to them so that I can reach my goals every single year, I understand that that might not be the case for you. So just take this with a grain of salt. I do believe in all of these books, and I think that they're like the Thanos of self-help, of self-growth, because each book serves a different purpose, at least in my life. Because with Atomic Habits, you're learning to build sustainable habits. With The Mountain Is You, you're learning about self-sabotage, how you do it, and how to stop doing it. Cant Hurt Me is all about learning about your highest potential, becoming the best version of yourself, and taking accountability for your life and where it's going. Everything I Know About Love teaches you about love, what it truly means to its core, what it actually means, not your perception of love, but what it actually means to love other people and to be loved, not only within yourself, but to others, and how to foster those good relationships, no matter if it's romantic or platonic. And last but not least, Tuesdays with Maury teaches us to remember the entire picture, to remember the whole picture, to stop and smell the roses, to really hold the people that you love dearly and tell them how much they mean to you. And with all of that, all of those books, in my opinion, help you round out to be the best version of yourself. So I would highly recommend all of these. But again, I do understand if there isn't a book that actually works with you, but hopefully these books are a jumping point for you to find your groove and to be the best version of yourself. Now, I wish you the absolute best in this year, and I hope that you achieve all of your goals. But remember, the most important thing is progress, not perfection. All right, I love y'all so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. But But seriously, last little takeaway, I just want to say, I know it's easier to feel safe and comfortable in your comfort zone, but it's also a lot scarier to be at the end of your life and realize that you've wasted your potential. And it might be scary to get out of your comfort zone, but your comfort zone is killing you. And you know that because you feel this innate pressure and innate desire to change, and that's not there for no reason. So again, remember to be kind to yourself. Every single day is just an accumulation of decisions that you can make. So even if you make a bad decision in the beginning, you always have another opportunity to make the right decision later. So have grace with yourself, be kind, and just try your best this year. That's all that matters. All right, I love you.